Hello everyone, my name is Hamna Syed. I'm a graduate architect from Beacon House National University, Pakistan. Today, I will be highlighting the presence of alienation in contemporary housing of Lahore with the belief that architecture is not a problem solving device, but its true responsibility is to make expression through thought provoking space. Under this scenario, this paper will analyze the role of alienation in reference to contemporary architecture, considering alienation as a matter of fact, not as a social or psychological problem. This concept began with a question in my mind that why does one feel detached or homeless in the same place they resided for years or once had a strong sense of belonging with? After reading through various articles and philosophical texts, I became aware of the term alienation. Generally speaking, alienation is a state of a person who has disengaged themselves or have been alienated from the attentions from a person, place, or thing they once enjoyed. Alienation is a complex term to define, as its constraints lies among various disciplines. Quite often, alienation appears to be the subject of philosophers, psychologists, writers, artists, and literary scholars. My primary focus here is on the role of alienation in reference to dialogue within the space, for which I focused on the positive and negative aspects of alienation. In his Phenomenology of Spirit, German philosopher George Hegel describes the theme of alienation as surrender and alienation as separation. According to Hegel, alienation is a key to externalize oneself. Without the process of undergoing alienation, one can never realize its own individuality. But he also emphasizes on the latter, that is, alienation as separation, which is to overcome the alienation in order to participate back into the society. German playwright Bertolt Brecht described alienation effect as make the familiar strange. He used this effect in his plays to educate his audience. To achieve alienation effect, he used various techniques to force his audience to contemplate on the issue addressed in the play instead of sympathizing with the actors. According to Marx, capitalist society is responsible for alienating man from his objects, from his labor activity, his human essence, and other men, forcing man to survive in a dehumanizing state. Through digital manipulation, Kamal Kortaba portrays the alienation of the digital age and highlights the physical absence of human beings to the virtual reality. From the above analysis, positive aspects of alienation leads to contemplation and the negative aspects leads to escapism. To further explore alienation in terms of space and dialogue, I analyzed the works of Edward Hopper, who is famous for his portrayals of alienation of the American society of the earlier 20th century. Through his paintings, he highlights the presence of alienation of the private spaces, public spaces, and empty rooms. His paintings depict a real situation in a dreamy way. In his painting Rooms by the sea lies just outside the doorway, which in reality is not possible but shows the connection Hopper has with certain elements of his painting. In another painting, Office in a Small City, Hopper deliberately removes window panes to highlight the presence of man and its context. For architecture, it is necessary to imagine the experiential layer which comes along with the space when one inhabits it. Edward Hopper used certain techniques to achieve alienation in his paintings. For any two-point perspective image, the image has lines meet at two certain points. Not only his paintings have multiple intersecting points, but also some of the lines never meet. Most of the intersecting lines lies outside the image, which results in keeping the viewer at a distance and curious of the incomplete frames. His painting subjects highlight metaphors of escape. The figures he used seemed to be daydreaming or lost in their reveries, trying to escape their reality. Even the use of elements like thresholds and openings suggests escapism. With the use of minimal color palette, he controlled the focus of elements in his paintings. He used light to highlight certain objects, like in the first image, light reveals certain part of the skirting, whereas darker part of the skirting remains submerged with the tones of the wall. He used silhouettes and contrasting colors to control depth and stillness of the painting. Windows are mostly apertures merging the inside with the outside. In almost all of his paintings, he keeps the light source hidden and creates the sense of ambiguity by creating multiple shadows. Due to modern construction styles, the spaces are completely disconnected from its context. Functionality of spaces are compromised by shifting focus from experiential spaces to decorative elements. Afterthought ideas or solutions further pushes spaces into alienation. Some of the spaces of a house are completely deprived of any human contact due to inaccessibility and mundane experiences. Roof, balcony, courtyard, veranda, and lounge were the five essential spaces of a house in response to their role as a communicating device for its inhabitants and surrounding neighborhood. With new technologies and trends taking over, the architecture style of a contemporary house has pushed these spaces into alienation. With all the roofs connecting through common walls and parapets, it acted as a playground for kids sharing the common boundaries. Many events like weddings and get togethers were hosted on the roof. It was a common place for neighbors to interact with each other. Roof today has lost its playfulness as every roof has its own boundaries which confines its inhabitants to a single roof. Events are hosted outside the house. Most of the modern roofs are deprived of accessibility and is only accessible through temporary structures like ladder. Unbridgeable. I'm witnessing a catastrophe unfolded before my eyes. As I stand here on the edge with nothing but the skies over me, I see the same people around me as I saw before, but something is different. While I can see them, I can no longer extend my hand and meet them, for there exists a sea of nothingness between us. Our world is disintegrating into isolation. People around me are leaving, for there is no purpose to stand here. One after another, they are retreating into their tiny worlds. I am left with nothing but abject isolation. Now I stand here with not a soul in sight. My life has been divorced of any human connection. Barren land. I am a barren land yearning for the glory of my past. A golden time when children graced me with their cheerful presence. They ran around, free from the worries of the world. But now I am alone, surrounded by a deafening silence. My only solace is the Mother Nature, who embraces me with its tears that washes away my sorrow for a while. Perpetual monotony. We have suffered a horrific fate. There was a time when we inspired curiosity among people with our diverse looks. Some of us were tall, some of us were short, some big and some small. Now we have stripped off our dignity as we are molded into a bland shape with nothing to attract a second look. Our individuality has been shattered into an appalling continuity. We have been turned into a path of perpetual ugliness with no destination. Alienation of roof is translated into the physical space to highlight feelings of barrenness that imitates the existing condition of contemporary roof. Apart from its aesthetics, balconies acted as extensions of the room. Balcony opening in the streets acted as an interactive space for neighbors. Courtyard facing balconies connected the private space to the central space. Today, street life which hosted the balconies is lost. Balconies are only used to decorate the facade. Roadside balcony. They see me, but they never visit me, for they fear the realities I expose them to. They fear that I will break the illusion in which they reside. I am nothing but a mere decoration on their monotonous life, a desperate attempt to bring life to a dead facade. Little do they know that I am as dead the wall as I am supposedly giving life to. Deserted. The people gather before me to see the world I open to them. But today I have nothing to show. There are no scenes to satisfy my visitors. There are no kids who used to play on the streets, nor are there any people strolling the streets. In fact, there is no street to witness. The dynamic view has been replaced by a lifeless, monotonous image. My audiences, disappointed by this experience, has left me alone to bear this trauma. But this trauma is nothing compared to the pain I feel for my visitors, whom I have denied the experience of liveliness. Into the wild. I am living a constant misery. A dark, dense forest surrounds me. Inch by inch they are closing in on me. I am straining to see a ray of light. I am gasping for air. Plants and trees are supposed to sustain life, but they are choking me to death. It is destroying my heart and soul, for it has made me useless. I used to open worlds to people, that is what sustained me. But no one visits me anymore, because there is no world to see. Physical spaces are translated in terms of openings and stairways leading nowhere. Just like the physical balcony, these spaces mimic the presence of hopelessness and meaninglessness. It was the central space of the house which connected different parts of the house. It acted as a mediator between public and private spaces. Most of the events and evening get togethers were hosted here. Apart from its aesthetics, it was an oxygen pocket for the house. Due to certain bylaws, courtyards are diminished from the central space and pushed aside into narrow boundaries. At the threshold, I am gripped in agonizing pain when I saw the tragedy where I once resided. I have been disgracefully replaced by absolute nothingness. I was home to their cores. I afforded them protection from the world outside. But now there is no one to guard them. They have been confined to their homes. If they step out, they are exposed to horrific atrocities. But it hurts me more to see that I have also been removed from their memories. Wall in between. I am besieged by the wall in between me and the other side. I have but one wish to see what lies beyond, to connect with the other like I once did. I hearken for that magical bond between us that was mediated by the earth and the open sky. That bond is vital for my existence, for it sustains me. I yearn for a life beneath the open skies, free from these choking boundaries. But when I see the ghastly wall between us, I fear my dream will never be realized. Diminished. As I sit here suffocating between ever narrowing wall, I weep in silence at what has happened to my once colorful life. I used to have buoyant children run around all day in my vast world. I had people sit and talk all day long. I used to be the part of the most important conversations of those days. Now I am reduced to narrow passages where no one ever comes. I am shunned to the edge of existence. The reduction of space is translated in terms of thresholds and narrow spaces. It served as a mediating space between courtyard and private rooms. Under its shelter, women of the house carried out homely tasks while being connected to both outside and inside parts of the house. Most of the windows of the house were open in it, and it acted as a buffer from harsh sunlight. Today, the veranda is mostly used for parking cars and bicycles. Light from the inside. I am bewildered by what I see. Why is there no one stepping out to embrace me? I am standing here beneath the sky and the warm gaze of the sun like always. They used to come out to bask in the sun or sit under my shade. I wonder what has made them lose interest in me. Could be this queer light radiating from the inside has taken them away. They have stopped coming out since it has come in their lives. It has been ages since they last came out. Has the light killed them, or has it killed me? Green veil. I am cloaked in a veil as if I have committed a grave sin. I was made to illuminate the world wide. But they don't wish to see what I can show them. They think of me as the devil who will expose them to the scorching light. So they shun me in this humiliating veil. They have positioned me in place which brings about the misery of unbearable light. It is their fault that I am failing, yet I am the one who has to bear the consequences. Stolen spotlight. I have become invisible to the people around me. They walk by me as if I don't exist anymore. The only entity that embraces me is this lifeless monstrosity. My existence has been reduced to a passive shelter for this vile object. They travel across cities residing in it, and experience life through its deceptive window, while I stand here waiting for them, but they never acknowledge my presence. I envy this dark creature which has taken my spotlight and shoved me aside. The experience of veranda is translated in terms of its diminished presence. It was a room which hosted gatherings and a place where important decisions were made. The room was flexible in terms of its arrangement, as it could be easily transformed according to the occasions. Due to the fixed media wall, the orientation of the room is restricted. Most of the events are hosted outside the house. Lounge has become another private room. An imposter. I'm a victim of changing times. I reminisce a time when people would visit me night and day. I was their portal to the world outside. They heard the birds sing through me. They felt the breeze through me. They experienced nature through me. But now I have been shoved aside by a cunning impostor. This deceitful creature is now the center of attention. It has cast a spell over them. It fools them into believing that they are in sync with the world, when in reality they are only seeing a poor imitation of Mother Nature. I have been covered up, forgotten, and erased from their memories. By removing me, this treacherous entity has destroyed the delicate balance of nature within these humans. Now they see everything but feel nothing. Behind the chair. I lost interest in the outside world when people lost interest in me. My life orbits around these cement walls. that hold me securely in their chest. People used to compete for a seat beside me as I let in cool fresh air and provided a panoramic view. Now I beg to be opened, yet no human hand touches me. I beg to be noticed, yet no human eye seeks me. Towards the end. Perched on this wall, I look around, yet I see nothing but these bleak walls. The world inside is as lifeless as the one outside. This dark veil has blinded me. There was a time when I caught a glimpse of them, when a breeze would remove this cloak for a moment. Sadly, such fortunes come no longer, for I have been close shut. Even their seldom voices I heard have been silenced. I have realized something terrifying. I have not been veiled. I have been shrewded. I have drawn my last breath, for my time has come. The experience of the lounge is translated in terms of private spaces which are completely cut off from its surroundings. From the above analysis on alienated spaces, I hereby conclude that alienation is inescapable, as its constraints shift from positive to negative aspects of its existence. It is our duty as designers to reflect upon its negative impact and create spaces that are thought provoking and promotes well being. Thank you.